everyone, this is Abhya, a fashion lawyer by profession and your host for Briefly Speaking by Regally Legal, your go-to destination for bit-sized insights and bold conversations that unravel the world around us. From the realms of fashion law to everything in between, this truly is your one-stop for it all. And today, briefly speaking, we have someone I have long admired from afar. What was initially designed to be a 30-minute conversation with her ended up with me spending 6 hours at her house. So it's safe to say that her grace, her strength, her aura, positivity, it all stayed with me long after that. She is the owner of Janavi India, an iconic luxury brand that got Himalayan cashmere to the global stage. So from the World Bank to the world of fashion, she truly nails it all. She's someone I personally deeply admire and treat as my idol for life. Her grace, her dignity, her strength, it all speaks for herself. Please welcome with me Ms. Jyotika Jhalani. Thank you so much for being here, ma'am. It means the world to me, and you already know how much I adore you. And thank you for actually doing this.
Thank you. That introduction has brought tears to my eyes. What is... Oh, God. This is making me overwhelmed. We might need to have a retake here, but maybe it just stays. Abhya, I really want to thank you. I want to thank you for allowing me to be in your universe. You're younger than both my kids. You're starting off life. So, Abhya, thank you so much. Everything that you said to introduce me kind of overwhelmed me. It overwhelmed me because of your pure love and dedication. I barely know you, and I feel I've known you all my life, or maybe lives before. I normally don't sit and start talking about Janavi or do podcasts for that matter. This podcast was very, very, very special to me. When you approached me and said you wanted to do something in fashion, but the legality of fashion. My life, my journey, and who I am today has been based on myself. Not what I was dictated, not what I feared, not where I felt. So I started with 4 people from my son's bedroom. I sent Karthike. I had no idea that after 10 years at the World Bank, I would ever get into the world of fashion. My background is a father who was India's #1 golfer, a mother who was highly fashionable. She reminds me of every Maharani there has been or will be. She is truly very, very graceful. She's a beautiful woman to me, always my mother. Still alive at the age of 87. She lives life fully. She realizes that everything that she shaped us into is not what we became. Each one, as we grow up, and I am a mother of 2, and I also have a 7-year-old grandson. As Oscar Wilde would say, and has said, your children are from you, but they're not you. So when you grow up, your parents may want you to become like them or fulfill their unfinished or unfulfilled dreams. In my case, I walked my own path.
That was amazing. And much like anything that you have ever said to me, be it about your personal life, be it about your professional life, I think there's just something that really hits the heart and where it's supposed to. So I think on behalf of all of us, I can only just say thank you. Thank you for making us part of 1% of your journey, if for all it's worth. And I'm sure and I know that it's going to be beautiful and amazing just like you are. So I think before I go into the more educational and more informative part of the conversation, I'd like to start with something a little personal. When I last visited Ma'am's house and when I spent those 6 hours with her, I was fortunate enough to read an extract of something that you wrote. And there was a certain line in it which said, "Homes carry spirit and places hold memory." This was one line that just stayed with me, and still does. And it was, I think, when I read this specific line, I felt like there was so much of depth, not just for what you've built. You as a person have so much of just these layers that I feel like the world does not know. And the reason why I'm starting with this is because I just want to tell you to take a pause and rewind us to your early days and just tell us a little bit about your childhood. And if places do truly hold memory, then what was that one place or maybe that one memory?
So, Abha, that's a very beautifully articulated question. It has many layers, so I will take a little while before I answer this. When I say places hold energy, and every place that you visit is something that's part of your journey. Your home, for me, is where my heart is. I have spent 62 years, and that's how old I am today, trying to find perfection in everything I did. Today, perfection is nothing but being myself. Because I think everything is perfect if you look at it that way. An artist will paint a painting exactly the way he feels the strokes of his brush. A designer will design something that comes from within or is inspired by something around. A home is where each one of us carries a little bit of ourselves. But most of us tend not to realize that homes actually have our own spirit 24/7. I own the universe. So I don't know where my home is. All I can say, it's where my heart is.
Well, I don't think there's a better way to put it. And I think what you say about homes and what you really feel when you talk about just, the word home in general, I think it has a much higher magnitude, and home is truly how you represent yourself. And I think the way that you carry, I'm sure that home is beautiful and as positive as you are.
Janavi today is an expression that is very difficult for me to put in words. The very name is the river Ganga. The Ganga never stops. Rivers don't stop. They keep flowing. They find their path, they navigate, they do whatever they have to, but they keep moving. Life is about change, and I embrace it. So my journey, right from the time that I was a little girl, has been about change. Leaving school at the age of 15 was not in my blueprint, I think, when my parents brought me into this world. I'm sure they did not think that their daughter, who was one of, I would say I was a topper in a lot of fields at school, I never came first. And my obsession was with coming first. My mother changed my name. At the age of 12, I was constantly told I was different. I still don't understand what is being individualistic versus being different. I come from a very small family of a father who died when I was only 17, a mother who's 87 years old, beautiful, full of grace, and my two sisters, Devika, who's 2 years older, and Ritika, who's 3 years younger. I am the fortunate middle one who learned from everybody, or maybe didn't learn from anybody. So when I was 12, my mom said, your name ends in ITA. It was Savita. Savita is another word for the sun. And that's why the logo for my company is the Surya. It's the sun. And I was changed to Jyotika, which is another word for light. Light from the sun, or just a Jyoti. And the only thing I believe in is energy. Positive or negative is not what we're talking about. There's one flow that comes from the divine. And if you are in the realm of being in a high energy zone, you will only be positive.
And I think every single person around you feels that energy, which is why I think your team is your family and everybody around you is too. So I think on that beautiful note, again, I'm going to go into the podcast and hopefully have an amazing one. All right, ma'am. So the questions that I'm going to ask now, these are based on an online survey. These are questions that people really want you to answer. And coming from the experience that you hold, I think it's going to be amazing. So without further ado, I think we're going to go into the podcast. All right, ma'am. So the first question for you is, you started without a formal background in fashion. You dropped out of school, you left your job at the World Bank, and here you are leading India's most celebrated luxury brands. There's this perceived notion today that what you study must determine what you do. You study medicine, you become a doctor. You study law, you become a lawyer. Everything is just too black and white, and I think it's going to be funny coming from me because I am a lawyer by profession. But you're proof that it's not how always things work. So my question to you, ma'am, is, do you think that myth needs to be broken? Was it harder for you to get into something without formal training before? Or do you believe that it's your lived experience, not your academic path, that made you who you are today?
Unfortunately, our system of education in India makes people less understand, more getting into rote. So an education in that sense then doesn't become really as important or as necessary. Unfortunately, we don't have enough schools. Also, we do not have the right agenda for our courses. You're being taught the same thing over and over again from class 2 and 3. For me, I've been a bit of a maverick, and I've also been a little bit of a rebel without a cause, or with a cause. We'll know later in my life. So I left school, yes. I did leave school at the age of 15. I wasn't yet 16. My mother changed my name when I was 12. Whether that made me change, whether it was just the fact that I had nosebleeds on my history papers, or whether it was the fear of examinations and the obsession of wanting to come first. Something I never did my entire life. Breaking away from school without even having a vocation or anything to really get into, I still told my parents, I'll make you proud. And I think I have. I think I have made them proud. I think I've made myself very proud. Also, I've also made, I would say, India proud too.
Absolutely.
We've taken
100%.
the Made in India label to international brands, whether they were Ferragamo, Dior, Chanel, Armani, Hermes, and the likes of 17 more. My endeavor, because my background is not fashion, was not to start creating a brand. It was to take Brand India. Today, with Modi ji's Make in India campaign, it's an amazing thing that he's doing, because the pride that we have, because we have such a rich heritage, fashion, tradition, just the colors of India. It's just so beautiful.
I think one very prominent thing that I've personally also experienced is that I don't remember my school life that much, because I think it just went by in the blink of an eye. And it was so fun. It was so not planned and all of that. I think during my university years, even though I went to the UK to study, I feel like I still remember everything from the, stresses to the happy days and everything. But I think my school life has only just been about fun.
Absolutely. I think schooling, like I said earlier on, is a starting point for life. I think schools are the ones that shape your thought process, because by the time you're 6 or 7, you pretty much know where you're going. By the time you're 11, you've actually defined where you're going to be.
All right, then on that beautiful note, I'm going to go into the next question. So, ma'am, Janavi creations are showcased worldwide. To name a few, we have Selfridges, we have Bergdorf Goodman, we have Saks Fifth Avenue, to then your own boutiques in Delhi. Whether it's hand-painted cashmere shawl or an intricately embroidered stole, it feels like a love letter to Indian heritage. For every designer or brand builder listening, do you believe that anchoring your vision in your own culture, your own roots is essential for authenticity? What role has Indian symbolism and tradition played in shaping Janavi's global appeal?
So I'm just going to answer this very simply. Janavi is the river Ganga. Janavi embodies its soul through every piece that we make. Whether ethnic or international, the uniqueness in each piece has something very special. Each shawl is made with a lot of love. Each shawl is a transmitter of your energy. Each shawl has hours of very, 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 I would say, amazing energy put into the making of. Each shawl has a story. Each shawl has a reason. And each shawl is in a beautiful color. The hues of the rainbow pale in front of my paint box. My paint box is colors made by Pantone in 20,000 shades. You talk about 50 shades of gray. There's a 50 shades of every shade for me and color for me. So even when I launched Dualities, which was the spring-summer 2025 colors for Pantone, it was 175 colors. Or for that matter, declare with the Pantone team in New York, the color of the year, Mocha Mousse. Each design has the energy of being very special.
Absolutely.
Because the wearer has to feel that they are special.
The next question for you is, we live in an age of instant everything. There's viral success, there's social validation, there's fast sales. But Janavi took time, it matured with utmost grace, and yet it feels so fresh. You have been in the fashion industry for over 25 years, not just surviving, but evolving, thriving, inspiring. That kind of staying power in itself is very rare. From your experience and having worked with people across generations, what do you think is one quality today that designers, students, professionals, or anyone stepping into a creative field must cultivate, not just to grow, but also to kind of sustain?
So, Abhya, the question that you've put to me is really something that everybody needs to ponder on. Where does design emanate from? Who are we as individuals? Why are we designing? Okay. In a world which is filled and filled and filled with all the needs, the wants are becoming even bigger. So, as far as I'm concerned, how many more shoes can you have? How many more shawls can you have? How many more pieces of jewelry can you have? Each piece needs to become something that is special to you. And simple needs become very special ones. So at Janavi, I think it's not about how many pieces of Janavi you own. It's not about making it cookie cutter and making it like a mass brand. That's also okay.
Yeah.
It's not about an Hermes Birkin or a Kelly, which is almost impossible to get.
Yeah.
It's about really what we've created, unique pieces. Timeless pieces, pieces that will go down generations, and pieces that really are embodying your spirit when you wear them. I just feel everything that I've created at Janavi with an absolutely fantastic team.
And I can vouch for that because not many people know this, obviously, but the second time that I visited you was at your factory. I think it's a beautiful workspace. It truly is.
Yes, it is. It's sun-kissed. There are no boundaries. And what I love about Janavi is that each person has a part to play. And that's why I always would go back to, it's not Jyotika Jhalani. Why is it Janavi? Why is it the River Ganga? Why is the sun my logo? The sun always shines no matter if the cloud's out.
Yeah.
It's shining somewhere. It's giving the warmth. It's giving the love. It's giving everything that we all need to nurture and grow.
All right, ma'am. So the question was that I know you're not one to call out people, but I have to talk about this because I feel like as a fashion lawyer, there are a lot of creatives in the industry today that rarely talk about it. You once worked closely with someone at Janavi, someone you trained, someone you nurtured, you trusted as part of your team, only to then see them replicate your designs, mimic your own visual language, and even approach your clientele without mere acknowledgement in this area. That's not just frustrating. It could be frustrating to me, but I think to you it's deeply personal. What did it feel like to watch your creative DNA being copied like that? And to every single person listening, what do you think that people really need to understand in terms of to not underestimate the power of IP, whether they're starting out, whether they're in it, or whether they're, just the most experienced person too?
So, Abhay, that's a very, very, very relevant question in the world that we live in. Okay? I don't think anything is created by any individual. It comes from the universe. It comes from us. Having said that, each one of us has our own identity. Each one of us has our own path. Each one of us has created what we think may be a brand, maybe a voice, maybe a language. It's all created by individuals for themselves and for their companies or for legacies. So international brands today, especially in the world of fashion, are constantly at a point in their lives where they feel that they are being, I would say, being copied. I hate the word copied. They're actually being used as inspirations. The R&D that goes into make something yourself may have taken you years. It may have taken you literally a lifetime. And somebody just comes there and without even paying anything, goes out and copies it. In the world of AI, that's exactly what's happening. It's not your own language. It's not your own voice. It's nothing but somebody generating something for you. When I go back to IP and ownership, I own myself. I don't think Abhya can become Jyotika. Okay?
Not at all.
And neither can Jyotika become Abhya.
Yes.
Okay? She can try to mimic her. She can try to use the best face that Abhya has put out. We just talked about Kiara Advani doing great in the film, and Hrithik having every move so perfect that even if we tried to really, really copy him, that was Hrithik's dance. And Kiara's own interpretation of what she wanted to project.
This is a disclaimer for everybody. We just danced our heart out and then we were just saying that, we can't be as good as that.
Well, we didn't say that. What we said is that we cannot copy something that's not inherent to us.
Yes.
We can only be somebody else and not them. Similarly, in design, when you get copied, you only get copied because you're good.
Yes.
If you were not good, 100%. You wouldn't be copied, right? I remember having this conversation with the Tod's president, and he said, Jyotika, there's a place in China called Shenzhen, and we go and check up how many bags of ours from our current collection are there on literally being produced in China, which are copies. And he says if they're less than 4, we have to be worried. We're not making the right designs. If they're more than 8, they're too many. Then Tod's won't sell.
Yeah.
And I had similar conversations with people at Louis Vuitton since I've worked with all these brands.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting to see is that actually everybody who comes out there thinking that they're copying your IP is actually being really dishonest to themselves. Because, like I said in the beginning, an inspiration of a tree is a tree. It's been created by nature for everybody. A flower is a flower. A bird is a bird. An animal is an animal. When you start to look at life as an inspiration for you, and if I look at color, to me, it's the vibrant world of every possible color. I launched the color of the year for Pantone in New York last year. It is the color of the year, Mocha Mousse. Mocha Mousse is being used by everybody.
Yes.
It doesn't mean they're copying each other. What they're doing is they're creating their own masterpiece in Mocha Mousse. And when you create your own masterpiece, you are unique to yourself. But when people start taking inspiration from Pinterest, Instagram, Shutterstock, or for that matter, what people and other designers have actually made in current collections, I just don't think it's fair. I don't think it's right. But at some level, it is the yearning desire to become somebody who you're not that makes you copy.
But I think, ma'am, there's a very thin line today as we sit in 2025 in between actually being inspired by something and just like, straight
Blatantly
up
copying
copying
it.
Exactly.
So blatant copying comes from a very simple thing. Like you mentioned, the person who actually did that with me, he was my CEO. And he worked with me for 16 years. He has my entire IP because he took the company's computer. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't realize that everybody knows it's a Janavi copy.
Exactly.
We've been there for 30 years.
Exactly.
His brand has only just begun. And it's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If that's what his karmic journey with Janavi is and with me is, he will continue to copy. The day he realizes, I've not taken any legal action, I've not done anything in that realm, the only area which I feel is not correct, he's trying to poach our people.
Yeah.
Because we're not really out on Instagram anymore, we're not posting out new designs, we're going into a silent luxury growth. And it's not nice to
Exactly. Also why I said that, to me, it could be frustrating as a fashion lawyer. To any third person, it could be, okay, we could feel emotions, but to you, it's personal. It's somebody that, you kind of really did trust implicitly during their time at Janavi.
Yeah, he spent 16 years.
Exactly. 16 years is...
He knows me. He knows me in and out. He knows my thought. He knows how I move. He was the best at Janavi. But unfortunately, we had to ask him to leave. And unfortunately, we had to ask him to go. There was something which is very personal to all of us within the company, and I would not like to put that on camera. But the one thing and one message to everybody who's watching this podcast, remember one thing. You are a unique version of yourself. Remain that. Do not try to be a cheap or, for that matter, an expensive copy.
Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what... Whenever I talk about IP, whenever I talk about fashion law, there's just one common intention that I really want each and every person to know of. It's that these are emotions that you feel when something happens to you. Why wait for that to happen? My, idea, even when I wanted to mention this more specifically, is to send across a message. It could be as simple as the fact that, these emotions that we feel, obviously it's the person's karmic journey that, they're on, and they will eventually then pay for, what they are. And the simplest message in this case is that you cannot ever try to embody someone else's essence, right?
You can't.
You can physically, I don't think it's possible to do that.
Like I said, they cannot be another Jyotika.
Not at
or
all.
for that matter, another Abhya.
Not at all.
So they
And-
cannot be another Janavi.
Exactly.
It'll only be a copy of Janavi.
Exactly. And he could be a first copy, he could be a second copy, but the fact that there's just like, so much of frustration in me. Why so more? Because we live in a world of dupes. There's a dupe for everything today, from our Dior lip gloss to our favorite t-shirts to every single
Apple
thing.
phones.
Exactly, to Apple phones. But at the end of the day, to call out is important. To mention these things, I think, is even more important, just so that if you are able to preserve something of your own creative interest, why not?
But I really think after this conversation, I'm going to make sure either you become our IP lawyer or we find
I would
Safir
love-
Anand or whoever else there is in the world to come and actually make sure that each one of our designs is registered and
Exactly.
patented.
So the next question for you is that there's often this perception, especially from people from the fashion world, that as people succeed, they start losing touch from where they come from. But with you, it's quite the opposite. You have remained deeply grounded, and it truly feels that comes not just from your early years, but from also your spiritual depth. You've spoken about your father, the gentle giant, how you refer to him as, who you lost at the tender age of 17, and how even now his presence still guides you. And I think for anyone striving to succeed, especially young people, that balance between ambition and grounding is extremely important, but often overlooked. So my question to you is, in moments of creative pressure or intensity, how much do you think your early years still anchor you? And do you think it's essential to have a grounding force in the form of anything? It could be faith, it could be family, just about any of these aspects.
So I'll answer that very simply. The most important thing to me is belief and faith in oneself. When you stay in the realm of trying to be somebody you're not, or getting caught by what fashion or lifestyle, or for that matter, life in general dictates to you, you tend to lose who you are. Shri Shri Ravi Shankar ji gave me the opportunity at the International Women's Conference in Bangalore at the ashram to speak about spirituality in fashion. I only said one thing, which I still remember today, and I will say over and over again. Being spiritual is being yourself. And if you can get in touch with your inner self, then there is no facade. There is nothing but who you are. And when you stop wearing the masks that we all have to wear on a day-to-day basis, really getting back in touch with yourself, being the person you are, being completely truthful to your own self, your own tribe, and who you are is the most important thing.
All right, ma'am. Now, before we end our conversation, we have a fun segment that we like to call Legally Fashionable, because Regally Legal stands at the intersection of law and fashion. So it's just a fun this and that question round. All right, ma'am. So here we go. The first question for you is, what defines your mood most days? Cashmere Classic or hand embroidered statement?
I would say Cashmere Classic.
All right. What's the smarter move? Timeless IP protection or trend-driven design risks?
Timeless IP protection.
Where's the real magic? Fashion Week front row or artisan studio floor?
Artisan studio floor.
All right. How do you roll? File your IP first or design first, protect later?
I would say design first, protect later.
All right. Who embodies Janavi best? This is hypothetical. Bollywood muse or understated global tastemaker?
Understated global tastemaker.
All right. What's the energy or best let go trademark battles?
So my answer to this is very, very simple. I would not waste my energy on a trademark battle.
Made in India or sold to the world? You can say both.
So I would say sold to the world.
All right.
Made in India, of course.
Made in India, of course. Now, slow legacy or viral moment?
Slow legacy.
All right. Original inspiration or trending silhouette?
Original inspiration.
All right. Style first or substance first? What comes first in design according to you?
Substance.
All right. Now, that was the end of our podcast. I just wanted to say once again, a very big thank you to you. And you're one of the most adorable humans, if I may say so. And honestly, you are loved in each and every form. And I hope you know that I'm going to be a forever fan. And I'm someone that is going to hold you with the highest regard all the time. So thank you so much for actually.
Thank you, Abhaya. That was really, really, not just like I said, everything, every part of this podcast made me realize that being who you are yourself and projecting just that. Projections tend to not be real. For me, I'm a simple, straightforward, very, 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 I would say, I use the word crazy at times because I don't follow norms. But at the same time, what I found today was I found a little more about myself because you so well articulated everything from the first question to the last. Life is not about trying to make this huge impact, but it's about actually making sure that you live in joy and you spread the love.